Return to Glory podcast. Hunters are free tag. Recap: Nebraska Akron 68-0 butt whooping on Saturday night at Memorial Stadium. Guys, there's butt whoopings. There's blowouts. There's definitely games that you win by a lot, but then there's what happened on Saturday. And it's our first shutout loss since the Holiday Bowl, I believe, when we beat Nick Foles and the Arizona Wildcats in the late 2000s, 2009. Largest margin of victory since like 1984 or 6 or something like that. Third largest in school history. Like I said, there's blowouts, but then there's what happened on Saturday. And it's very impressive, however you want to look at it.
Yeah, it was impressive. I will say I got like halfway through the third quarter, not even halfway through the third quarter, a couple minutes into the third quarter, and I just felt bad for Akron. I was like, I'm not even enjoying this. Like, it's just like, oh gosh, these kids, like, they came all the way down here. They're not getting any of the money that Akron's, getting paid to come down here and play. Like, once that kid shanked that punt after having a bad punt, and then they had the field goal blocked and missed. It's like, oh gosh.
You wanted them to
Nothing's going.
score
Like,
because they didn't score week 1 against Wyoming like we know.
yeah.
It
And they
is
had
like
the
make a field
ball.
goal.
Yep. It was
Doinks,
like, yeah, they
doinks,
had the ball in
doinks the
scoring
first one.
position. It's like, gosh, these kids, like, come on. I just want them to get something to take home and be like, the tape's good. But it's just like the whole second half, it was like when our backups are killing them, it was like, oh no, like, oh, that's tough.
I mean, what do you say for the offensive coordinator at this point?
The head coach. The head coach is the offensive coordinator of the Akron Zips.
Yep. So basically, you say just go out and have fun now at this point. Like, you haven't scored yet.
Out and have fun. How can you have fun?
just enjoy the ride, I guess. But no, they seriously might be one of the worst offenses of all time.
Their defense wasn't great either.
I do think, not that this is going to be all the time, but we talked about the disparity between the bigger programs that are getting all the money and resources from NIL and your smaller Division I schools. I mean, Division II as well, but Division I, FBS, that there's a bigger gap. And the good players from your Akrons, your UTEPs from last year, they're going to play at bigger schools after 1 year because it's like a junior college rank now where if you're really good, you're going to get offered and someone's going to pick you up. So unless you hit on your recruits out of high school and they're young and all of a sudden they're really good, they're probably not going to be at your school for 4 years. And I think that's what we saw a little bit with Akron. Like they just, player for player, they just didn't have much. And more scores are going to be like this, but that's not to discredit anything that we did as well. Because again, you can
we
blow,
still
you
had
can blow them out.
We still had a really good game.
You can blow them out, but this was a
ass kicking.
Something. I mean, it was a lot. 728 yards, most since 2014. Like we played some bad teams, maybe not as bad as Akron, but we played some poor teams and still don't score 68 on them. Shut them out.
It also, we'll talk about the good stuff Nebraska did, but it also made me think, because this is, I mean, Oregon kind of, well, Oklahoma State is like, gosh, if we played Oregon this year, we aren't even in their stratosphere. Like we would get freaking thumped if that's how they're thumping a Power 4 team. We did the same thing that they did to Oklahoma State, but we did it to Akron.
Mm-hmm.
That's maybe one of the worst teams in the country. It's like, man, we might have a good year, but we're not gonna be, if we even sniff the postseason, we're not winning anything. Yeah.
We'll get into the game recap here. So every week we're gonna have Dak do a little 5-minute instant reaction pod that we're gonna post maybe sometimes in this show, but this week we're gonna put it as a bonus episode, specifically because Dak didn't watch a single minute of the game, still hasn't watched it, doesn't know what's going on. Alcohol set in way too early, way too quick. And didn't watch that or the Oklahoma game for that matter.
Nope, I was out by about 6:15.
So, anyways, Dak's got a great initial reaction pod to a game that he didn't watch, nor did he look at the stats or anything. Just knew that we won the
No, we
final
looked at the
score.
stats by the time we did the reaction pod.
He said he did at the beginning of the pod, but didn't.
I didn't. I didn't.
So
I've looked at the stats now, so I kind of know what's going on a little bit, but I've tried to just go off stats. No, I've not watched many clips of it or any of the game. So this is just straight from the hip.
That's out there at parts. It can be a little brutal. If you know Dak, it can be funny as well. If you've already watched it before listening to this episode, I'm sorry.
Good luck.
Otherwise, if you want maybe a little laugh after our full recap, you can go listen to it after this. So, anyways, where do we want to start? I think let's start up top with the quarterback and let's start with the offense.
First, do we can I get the review of the alcohol sales in the stadium?
We can.
How'd it go? Online it sounded like it went all right, but
it went fine. It wasn't, I don't think it was great as far as efficiency and lines and everything. The concession lines were very, very long the whole game. Now, I do think everybody wanted to try stuff. I did not get to try any of the new food. I wanted to. I guess I did get the popcorn right before the concession closed, which I think was just our regular popcorn in a big old souvenir bucket. That was $12, but I mean, it was a lot of popcorn. It fed 5 of us.
Didn't someone puke at your feet though, right before the game?
Yeah, so I was gonna say about the alcohol, and I know this had nothing to do with the actual alcohol in the stadium, but it was the worst timing possible too. National anthem started in between section 38 and 39, and everybody, it was 10 seconds in, people started to sing the national anthem, and all of a sudden you just hear the noise of someone puking as they were running down the stairs.
Nice.
And we're just like, yep, there we go. Alcohol Memorial Stadium. But I don't think that contributed to the actual in-stadium alcohol. And it was some kid that had to be just at 21 if he was 21. So feel bad for him. I don't think it got on too many people. It might hit some lady's shoe. But anyways, that was, I kind of laughed. I'm like, yep, there's the alcohol. I was impressed with the amount of options they had. Like you could get about a lot of different seltzer options, beer options. It was good. I thought the alcohol lines for like the couple that I got, they weren't too bad. Too long a wait. Price wise, you're gonna sell what you're gonna sell.
It's just beer and seltzers, right? No mixed drinks.
Correct. But they did a decent job of kind of spreading it out. I think the new vendor, they're gonna learn. They're gonna learn from how they can improve things. I do think a lot of people are trying to eat the new food because it was all new.
Right.
So where we were sitting, you had to go a little ways to find a Runza and a Valentino's pizza because there wasn't anything close to us.
What is the price of a beer and seltzer?
A lot of them were like $12, $11. It's what it is. Like,
yeah, it's normal, I guess, for a game.
Tall boys, big boys. They didn't give 16 ounces.
Feel a little better, I guess.
Yeah,
not much.
But I will say it's about what I thought. Like you have a couple, maybe 2, 3, however many you want to have, but it keeps you just throughout the whole game. I did not get my headache that I usually get in the third quarter and ready to from drinking throughout the day. Like it just keeps you going. And then by the time the game was over, if you want to go have one celebrate afterwards and you can, then go home. Like it's not like something people are trying to get drunk on in the game. People are still coming to the game drunk if they want to get drunk before the game.
Yeah. No, I get that. All right, that's all I needed to know. We can talk quarterback now.
But I was glad that was important. That was important. It was one of the on my way home. That was one of the topics that got brought up a couple times on the post game radio show because what do you talk about? A 68-0, but that's what we're here for. Dylan Raiola,
Looked good. Looked smooth. Looked efficient.
Probably his best game as a Husker.
Yeah, by far from a stat perspective, but even just Austin mentioned efficiency. Going back to the end of the Cincinnati game, into this game, completed 20 passes in a row, which broke um, the Husker record for most consecutive completions. Guys, I'm gonna say it, and we were talking about this during the game. I think we a little bit take for granted how just smooth everything is and easy everything is for him. He's not perfect, but as far as throwing the ball, we've had a lot of running quarterbacks in Nebraska, obviously. But as far as throwing the ball and making simple decisions, quick, efficient decisions, it's the best we've had. And I'm going to say maybe even ever. I mean, in our lifetime.
He
Yeah.
wasn't missing open throws. Like there wasn't like every throw was like, okay, I see how you it might have been well covered if it was missed. There weren't a lot of missed ones, but it was
He had the
either makes
one, I can remember when that was missed, but I think people like last year, even too, I remember. But go back to some of our other quarterbacks. Every college quarterback's going to miss. Pro quarterbacks miss throws here or
yeah.
there. Um, Dylan is very efficient, and I'm going to say it's Dylan, but I'm also going to say, especially this year, Dana, his offense operates in a way that allows the QB to get the ball out of his hands and make a quick, simple read. A lot of times he's not having to take a 5 or 7 step drop and go through 5 different progressions. It's pre-snap. Here's what you're looking at, and here's your 2 options or 3 options, and you're going 1, 2, 3, boom, and that allows Dylan to also look. But so it's both. It's a combo of both. But Dylan's abilities allows him to do that because he's very very strong passer. So I don't want to jump on the hype before the horse before we've seen it against good teams consistently, but so far through 2 games, and especially against Akron, a team that obviously is a lot less superior than we are, he looked like a very one of the top quarterbacks in the Big Ten, and I mean, opponent aside in the country for right now, but I think we got to see it against some tougher opponents still. But the other thing too that we've talked about that he is and continues to be is a leader of the team, a voice for the team. It's his team. As far as any of the players go, it's his team. And he continues to show that. And when you play, your play backs it up. That only helps everybody trust you more and say, nope, this guy, he's got us. He's got us. You see it all the time in the NFL. You saw it last night. If you stayed up and watched the Bills and Ravens game with Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, like those guys, they're dudes, and their team has their back in everything because they can do amazing things. I'm not calling Dylan either one of those two, but that leadership ability is very important.
Man, he's looking nimble out there. Again, I don't want to take too much away from this game because just poor Akron, but
Agreed.
he looked good. Like even I don't know at what point, but Maddie even made a comment. She wasn't really watching. She's like, "Wow, like your offense looks just really good. Like it was just moving."
We didn't punt.
We didn't punt. Our Lord and Savior Archie Wilson sat on the bench the whole time. And we still managed to win. It's amazing. I'm surprised we didn't throw him out there at quarterback when we were getting third quarter.
Here's the main thing with Raiola so far. He has not made through 2 games made like the awful mistake yet that Husker fans are used to by now. The last 3 or 4 years before he came in, and even last year he made some dumb mistakes too. But he's just controlling the game really well. That's all you can really ask for.
You're right, and that's what we wanted out of a quarterback. We don't need someone to come in. Now he did throw for 300 and some yards this game, but consistently game after game. Like you just need somebody to manage the game and do it well. And he's
And it
doing
was, yeah, and it was nice that you could tell after last game they were looking to move it downfield just to get those reps in because they didn't do that last game. He averaged 12 yards of completion, so a couple of those were big plays that kind of bumped those averages up, but it was a little less of the short yardage stuff we saw last
that.
week.
I mean,
Correct. And a lot of it's not sending guys necessarily just on a fly route either. It's I heard this on the way home too. Dana Holgerson's offenses like to get the ball in playmakers' hands in space. That's what he's done everywhere he's been. And it doesn't have to be a throw for 55 yards down the field. It can be like we saw early on, a 12 to 14-yard crossing route where you hit a guy that's open and let him make a play after he catches the ball. And I know that's a big focus that Dana had after week one was, breaking tackles. And I think that's how his brain works and how he schemes things up. So I agree. It resulted against an inferior team in some explosive plays, but that's what I think we wanted to see. That check that box of let's have some explosive down the field plays. And didn't have to be throwing it a 55-yard bomb and someone going up and making a catch. It came in the form of the offense.
Yeah, oh, go for it, Jack.
Well, I was going to say you aren't when he drops back saying, "Oh, for the love of God, we're passing again."
No.
At least you have like confidence in him. He's going to make a good decision.
A lot of times, like I said, he's not dropping back. It's so quick of a read. It's like,
yeah,
you're not sitting there going, like we have in the past.
I was surprised that they used Heinrich in the field goal formation instead of I get it, you don't want to hurt him, but I just thought that was an interesting
in the goal line.
Goal line, sorry, yeah, not field goal.
So that was my other, next kind of thought. We moved the offensive line a little bit, but if I had to take any concern away, and the one negative thing that happened in the game was the 2 inside the 5 goal line stops that Akron did early on. Obviously, it didn't matter because you knew they probably weren't going to go down and score. It's not like that would have changed the game. But that's the one place where you go, okay, like we need to score there. The tush push.
Right. That didn't move the pile at all. Heinrich went up
against Akron.
Yeah.
I do think, it was effective against Cincinnati the couple times we ran it because you do catch teams off guard with it. If they don't know how to prepare for it, it's a lot of bodies in one small area. And if you're not ready for it, it's hard to stop. If you're ready for it, okay, now it's man on man. Now it's go time. The Eagles obviously are very, very efficient with
that's what I was gonna say right there
with Jalen Hurts in their offensive line. Right, they're man for man, probably a lot better in a lot of positions. You would hope that Nebraska's better man for man there too. We just haven't ran it enough yet to actually have all of the what you need, the scheme out of it. But yeah, that was the one part you're like, okay, and then Emmett, fumbled inside the 5-yard line,
basically. Yeah,
the 1. He got popped. It was a very good hit. You obviously want to protect the ball a little extra there.
You could tell he just had come off of a big rushing touchdown. He wanted to hit it again. Had a nice good gap. And he's like, he went for it. He's like, he got hit once. He's like, nope, I'm going. Kind of, and then got popped.
So that any takeaway there, that's the negative takeaway. It's probably, those 2 early possessions that you got a text and said, we're not covering. I'm like, I think we're still going to cover because they're not going to be able to score. You could just early on, it was just, nope, they're not, the receivers aren't going to get open. And we'll get to the defense in a second. But that to me, from anything on the offensive side, the offensive line, again, they weren't bad. They had some very open, solid holes that we were then
very open
huge
holes
that we were able to then run and get to the second level. And Emmett looked great again. He did. I think he's in position to be a very, very top back in the Big Ten if things continue. We play Akron every week.
I'm calling it right now. He's gonna get cooked, but we have Big Ten play. That man's gonna fall apart.
Now, that being said, Mekhi Nelson, Mosey, Quentin Ives.
Yeah. Quentin Ives
coming in.
I thought Quentin looked a little slow.
He had the one big breakaway touchdown run.
Yeah, but if you watched it on TV, it's like he had 10 yards between him and any other player on the field to get hit. He had nothing but room.
So Ives was a heavier back last year. I don't think Ives is our breakaway speed back. He's going to be one if we can use him properly, is to get first downs mean, if Emmett's banged up or out or whatever, he's going to be the one when it's 3rd and 2. We give the ball to Ives to get a first down. I think he's just a bigger back. Now, they said he's slimmed down, yada, 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 but I agree. Like, he's not going to be our breakaway back, but I think we can use him. I think he's had a little more experience than the other two. The other two looked great too. Like, they had their moments.
Usually looks like, I mean, he does not want to be tackled, and it was great. I'd say in general across the offense, there were a couple times where we were just, again, poor Akron, but I mean we were breaking tackles. Like
Hey,
it was
again,
fun.
talk about
It
the
was fun.
boxes checked that we wanted to see.
Yep.
Like, that was one, like, backup running backs, breaking tackles, like explosive plays. We saw it. And again, good for the offense and in the receiving group. Also very good there. Barney led us in receptions. And Isaiah Hunter's coming along as a very good first half guy. Dane Key had 3 catches for 30 some yards.
I mean, this is kind of Danke had some moments last game, but when you have 700 some yards of offense and Danke's supposed to be the number one and they only had 35 yards, kind of interesting.
So here's my take on it, and this is the optimistic view, which our receiving group right now, think of someone like, and if you play fantasy football, I'm just gonna throw out, like, for example, the Bengals, where you have Jamar Chase as a clear number 1, and then your number 2, T. Higgins, and then Tyler Boyd, number 3 with Barney. Like, T. Higgins, that's to me an Isaiah Hunter. Like, it's that second guy that, okay, you want to load up, and I didn't watch close enough to know if Akron was just really taking Key away or putting their best corner on him. I don't know. But you're going to have games where your number 2 guy just goes off or number 3 guy goes off because they have attention to number 1, which then you're doing your job, right? Now, I don't know if that was the case with Akron. I know Dylan was trying to get the ball to Dane and didn't end up finding him in the end zone, which that throw and catch were pretty amazing. But I'm speculating that maybe that's the case, like, of what's happening. Dane's obviously the senior leader of that group. I'm thinking that we have a receiving group that well, Justin Jefferson, then you take Jefferson away. Okay, now you got Jordan Addison, and there's an Isaiah Hunter. I mean, the guys that have receivers, you have a little bit of cushion behind them, and sometimes those guys get open more because of the way they're defending. I don't know if that actually happened this game, but I'm optimistically thinking that.
I mean, like I said, I'm not burying Danke yet because he had some big plays last week, but it's just interesting. It didn't feel like they were looking. All the open plays were to the other guys, which, maybe Akron has one DB, but in every other area of the field, it's like we got whatever we wanted. Why would the one guy covering Danke be able to work when he's supposed
Right.
to be the best receiver? That was my one concern. Is like, why is he not getting open against?
In man coverage, and then you have zone coverage that you go against too. Again, if you're scouting and scheming, and you're trying to just take away best players, which any sport you can do on a defense, you can just say, nope, we're not letting so and so get the ball. We're not letting so and so score. Like, I don't know if they were doing that. I didn't go back and watch to see if that's what they were doing in crowding Dane Key, but that could allow some of these other. I mean, there was some Barney's first catch. There was nobody anywhere close to him.
Another reception, Luke Lindemeyer. Man, another great Luke Lindemeyer catch where he just looks like a barreling tight end.
How about Luke? Like, and shout out for proposing engaged to his girlfriend too post game. Like, Luke Lindemeyer was not someone that anybody was
He's not on the
about.
radar.
Like, we thought probably is going to be the starting tight end. Like, most likely, like, didn't really know. People were excited about Heinrich moving over. Where's Carter Nelson going to be? But everyone's like, oh, Luke's just there. But Luke's a dude. Like, come on, he's a dude. He's a tight end. He's what you want out of a tight end.
Like I said, he's a barreling tight end, and
yeah, he's not going to burn anybody off the line.
No, I am surprised at how far Carter Nelson's fallen. I know he was injured this offseason, but the way Roll talked about him last year, even when our backups came in, he had one target, I think, that was way off. from
So,
TJ. That was about it.
so did Lindenmeyer get engaged because Mahomes tight end just got engaged?
That
Did Varela set that up?
I didn't make
must be
that
it.
comparison.
No,
Probably it.
I think the tight end positions coming in the year, we weren't sold on it yet. Like we didn't know what it's going to look like. It's been very solid so far. Lindenmeyer, like you said, is going to be a dude, and I don't think that guy can get injured at all. He's just built like a like a
I
train.
mean, he felt like an offensive lineman.
Yeah, he is.
He is, but he's a tight end. Like your tight ends are not going to burn anybody off the line. You
No,
want tight ends that can block a lot, especially in our offense. And I mean, what he's doing is exactly what you want a tight end to do. And there's been years that we don't throw it to our tight ends and we don't even use them at all, and Husker fans get pissed. It's been very good. It's been a very good first couple of weeks for Luke Lindenmeyer, including getting engaged. So yeah, good mention.
Now that I'm thinking about him making end zone, can we talk about the end zone paint? What it looked? I don't know what it looks like in the stadium, but gosh, I freaking hated it. It's like I didn't realize we were playing in Rutgers.
Okay, I've heard people that have opinions on it strongly one way or the other. I had people around me that were like, this is awesome. This is what the field should have looked like for a long time. I've also heard this looks very like video game-esque. Like
It felt like Rutgers. Take away the black outline, I'm fine. You know what I mean? But it just
yeah,
I
on the
didn't like
lettering.
it.
Yep.
Yeah, on the lettering.
Yep. I noticed it. I like my parents, my dad, I don't even think knew that because I mentioned it to him. Like the field looks good. He goes, oh yeah, it is different. It's like, but I think some people it's not a big deal to them, but I agree. It's very, I wanted to use the word sharp, but it's different. Like it's the red in the end zone. We haven't had that.
I don't mind the red of the end zone. Just get rid of the black outline.
Yeah, it is. Rutgers, the black block outline looks like Rutgers. Yep.
Let's see. Any other comments on offense? TJ Lateef, it was cool to see, but he's not going to be here by the time he gets to play. So I didn't get too excited about it.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up. Here's what that did for me. For God forbid, if something were to happen to Dylan, I'm knocking on wood as we speak.
You'd still be excited for our offense.
You don't feel, oh shit.
Yep.
Season's over. That's what that made you feel as a fan and as a player for that matter, knowing that you have someone that can come in and a freshman too. And maybe, I mean, people might think, oh, this is great. We have, once Dylan's gone, he can come in and be fine. Well, he's a freshman, Dylan's a sophomore. Maybe if things work out the way they do, and
like TJ's gonna redshirt this year, so he'll have 4 more years of eligibility.
Correct.
Dylan's probably only gonna play 2 more years.
The future is unknown because Dylan at Nebraska for multiple reasons, but mostly probably now for the NFL draft at some point potentially. Dylan could be here through his senior year, the possibility, but I don't know if he will. It makes you feel that you have someone behind and that can come in and have their own style too a little bit. I think that's what's also important. In the future, 2-3 years, we also have other recruits coming in. You have Dylan's brother coming in. You have the 2027 4th 5-star quarterback coming in. You're going to have other options too. That if Lateef is pretty damn good, it might be kind of hard to keep him here.
That's what I was like. It was cool to see, but
And
I agree with the backup, but he's not gonna be a starter at Nebraska.
And Dak, you mentioned the money thing, paying him like on your 5-minute spiel. I maybe, but I don't even know as a backup. Like, do you how much do you spend there? I mean, it's important. Don't get me wrong, but you can't overload it if someone's going to pay him I'm just going to throw a Rutgers out there is going to pay him after the Greek rifle's gone to go be their starting quarterback for
he's never leaving
$1 million. Like Like we're not probably going to match that or go above that for a backup quarterback. So it's probably going to be hard to keep him around if, somebody wants him. You hope you can keep a guy like that here. Cause again, it's a feel good thing to have someone like that. Now we saw him against Akron, against probably a lot of Akron's backups too as a freshman, but he looks like he has some talent. He's obviously able to run it a little bit after the two jukes, which is very neat. I think we saw why he's our clear cut number 2 when everybody kind of thought it was going to be Jalen Gramstead. Again, that was almost a given. And then the depth chart came out. We're like, oh, and now you see why. I think it's important. I think it's important for the fans, but it's important for the players, everybody to see you have a guy that can come in. You're not going to go, oh shit, what's going to happen? So I think that's actually a very big takeaway from the game. Even throwing the ball to, I think it was 6 for 7, right? It didn't look like he came in and was scared shitless, which he shouldn't be because we were up by 50. But
he already, and I said this in the post-game pod, he already has more yards than Iowa's quarterback through 2 games.
Which wild.
that poor Gronowski. Oh, poor guy.
I just don't get it. Like he's capable. Like I don't want to talk too much Iowa State games, but it's like he's hitting his receivers. Like he's not. There were several drops, but he just wasn't ever. I don't know. It's just like they ran it like 12 times in a 14-play drive for like 8 minutes, and then they came away with 3 points. I was like, this is just the most Iowa of Iowa to have a quarterback who can hit your receivers, but you're going to run it 12 out of 14 times over an 8-minute drive and only score 3 points. It's wild.
You definitely don't want Latif to go there because they'll find a way to coach good quarterback play out of anybody.
Yeah.
Speaking of catches and drops,
that's Iowa State recap right there.
That Akron dropped a few passes, but I want to shout out to our one-handed catches in the first quarter. We had like 3 of them from the get-go from 3 different players. It was like, oh,
like the first 3 of the first 5 catches were one-handed. It's like, oh my gosh. It was, like I said, at that point I was still having fun, even though I was a little worried. We were only up 9-0 after the first quarter. But yeah, it was fun until it wasn't. Until you just felt bad and guilty for having fun at someone else's expense. It kind of felt like bullying at a certain point. It's just like, oh, we're teasing.
I'll take that week after week. I'll get used to that feeling.
Which I was wrong in the post game pod. You guys Nebraska did not start out quick. How concerning is that?
Not. We had 2 end zone.
We started out quick. Besides not finishing those 2 drives. I mean,
yeah,
we could have had 23 points in the first quarter, but we had the fumble at the 2 and the.
And then everybody's saying it could have been an 80-point game. I mean, we scored every possession. So, yeah, Archie didn't kick. Go to special teams here for a quick bit. His parents were there. I heard on post game, and then they said that they probably felt bad for Archie's parents being there, so they had to go interview his mom in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
Because he wasn't seeing the field, and there was a big story that they wanted to show on him, and he didn't even play.
I heard the ovation for him though when they showed him on Jumbotron was loud.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was.
Like he's one of the loudest that people cheered for.
It's a favorite. Like people love him. We know we know that, and you didn't get to see him play, but it's obviously a good thing. The kicking was good again. Made one early. We don't mess up, and then blocking a field goal, great.
They missed one that they shouldn't have probably missed a couple times.
That
was when I felt bad. I'm like, okay, they're gonna get some points. Yeah. Doink, nope. And then when the blocked one happened, I'm like, guys, watch this get blocked. They should easily get 3 points, and then sure enough, we go up the middle and just stuff it.
And it wasn't on the block. It wasn't even like close. There was like 5 guys that were ready to block it.
No, it's good. And again, speaking to Coach Eckler and putting blind faith into a guy that knows special teams. He's clearly producing early on here with our special teams unit. Our punt return game, Ja'Cory Barney had the most punt return yards in that one game than we had all of last year. I mean, We had
So,
here's the thing with Barney. We obviously he was catching him. One, that's the most important thing. So we can't take that for granted because we've seen the opposite of that. But two, somehow, some way, whether it's a personnel change, a scheme thing, I don't know. He actually, when he caught the ball, had a room to do something with. And
right.
like whether blocking gunners is very difficult on the outside. I get that. And maybe we were just man for man that much better than Akron and they couldn't even get off the line. But when he caught the ball, it was like, holy field. And could go make hopefully a couple guys miss. Now, I heard some people say they'd hope he'd house one, and he does. Barney, if you had any concern with him right now, he goes down very easily. He's not a very big dude. So if you do get a hand on his body, he goes down pretty easily. I think that's one thing that Dana's going to want him to get better at. Dana and Eckler. So, like, but the punt return game was, again, we had yardage and don't take that for granted. Like 30, 20, 30, even 15 yards on a punt return, that's a first down on an offensive possession. That in the past, when all we got to worry about is freaking catching the ball and calling fair catch, is probably pre-Rule, because Rule likes to return stuff like that matters. That very much matters in the game. And I will say Akron's punter was pretty damn good. I mean, he hit some bombs. He had the one shank that didn't go anywhere, but we've all been there.
Yeah, he had 2 bad punts back to back. It was just like, oh gosh.
But heck, when he's punting so much, I mean,
I know.
That's all he. Yeah,
Austin, all these things you're saying for Akron, think about how many times teams said that about us
I
playing
had that
us.
thought while watching
Think
this. Like,
about that.
is this how other teams felt watching us? Like, gosh,
I
these
almost
poor Husker
guarantee you,
fans.
like poor Nebraska, they can't even. You remember, I was it Caleb Lightborn that had the punt go negative like 3 yards, like
Yeah, I
literally
do.
kicked a negative punt.
Yep.
it's
Crazy.
yeah. It reminds me of, you remember when game day came here, Ohio State just blew the freaking doors off of Nebraska.
They do.
Yeah, that was probably one of them where they're like poor Nebraska, but but it is poor act. Like they can't do anything in their. I no special. They can't do anything now. Special teams, defense, offense, nothing's going well for them. I mean, let's set an over under here. When are they going to score the first point?
Hopefully next week. I don't know who they play next week, but
Let's see.
I I don't. Here's what I wanted to do going into today. I did not want to come in and say Akron sucks. There's nothing to get out of this game because we played bad teams, but doing it in the way that we did it, like no matter who it is, beating somebody 68-0, like that's impressive. Minnesota was up 59-0 at half against Northwestern State, I believe. And that, I mean, that in the tailgate, I was like showing people, oh my God, look at this score. At halftime, I don't care who you're playing, scoring 59 points in a half, it's impressive. Like it is. And same thing, like winning 68-0, it's impressive. Do we know who they play next week?
UAB.
Hey, hopefully we'll score, but there's no guarantees. Defense, let's move on there.
It's a shutout.
It's a shutout. Again, that's hard to do as well. John Butler, I don't think we had to show a whole lot. Early on, I noticed, this is perfectly fine, just a lot of press coverage on the outside, and let's man for man beat you up. And then we don't have to show anything as far as what we actually might do against good teams. Let the inside guys take care of themselves, the outside guys take care of yourselves, and stop them. And they did a good job. Ben Finley, their quarterback, like he's not great, but he's not horrible. Like he'd fit in fine in Iowa's offense. I mean,
who wouldn't fit in fine in Iowa's offense?
He'd be a superstar.
I thought he actually made a couple of decent throws, and his receivers didn't. They should have had a touchdown on a drop pass. I think in the third quarter, maybe before kicking one of those field goals. Like their offensive line just man for man was not good enough for our defensive line, which also is not a strength. So again, check a box. Our defensive line looked a lot better. Now, I will say there were a couple of plays that there were still holes.
There were still quite a few big holes.
Yes, for the running back, which
was just like
Yes, and you know, if you want to talk about a concern there, maybe, and I think that you know we tackled well. None of that. Even if they got a first down or two, I just never felt like, oh boy, like they're going to go on a drive. I just like they're not scoring. They can't. They're not good enough to put 12 plays together and go down and score. There's no way it's happening.
Yep. I had the similar feeling of physically we were just better than them. There were still times where there were still quite a few big holes that were there. Luckily, our secondary was faster than their people. They were able to close out pretty quick. But I wrote down Michigan will have like 150 plus yards on us, even though they got walloped by Oklahoma, because it still was kind of concerning. And then regards because basically the whole second half we had our second and third stringers in. My takeaway was they're very athletic, but boy, you can tell they're young because they just looked tiny out
They look
there. I was like,
small.
wow, you guys look young and skinny and have not developed physically. So I'm sure that's all the time. Like defensive players just take longer to pop on the field. There aren't a ton of true freshman cornerbacks out there. Um, but yeah, but it was it was a shutout. Poor Akron. We were just better than Akron. They couldn't do anything. Better luck next week, fellas.
It's great though to get those young players out there playing because more than likely you're going to lose somebody on defense. You want those guys to get some playing time in these games. That's what these games are basically for. It's just get your stars out as quick as possible, and get these young guys some playing time.
It was good to hear Willis McGahee the fourth, and
You know what? He
Vincent
was in
Chambers
early
and
too. I
Rex
mean, he was in
Guthrie,
very
and
early.
yeah,
Whether that's what their plan is moving forward. Cade Petschak, I don't know if you heard that name, defensive lineman. I early on too, a couple
he
of
was our leading tackler. Was Cade? Cade was our leading tackler with 2 tackles for loss.
like guys like that. I don't know. You don't know how that's going to fit in once we get into Big Ten play, but they're getting the minutes and experience right now, and that's what like you said, Deck. That's what you want out of these games. You know, you got to feel good about that. I guess yeah. You get your backups could come in and they could go down and score a couple times, and then you're going, oh gosh, like hope nobody gets hurt. It didn't happen. Now Akron's backups are probably in too, so as expected, your backups are probably better than Akron's backups. So
it did take a while for us to record a sack again. Well, not again. It was we didn't record a sack last week, so it was still one of those like, okay. Granted, they only threw it 21 times, so I understand why we might have not recorded a sack because they just weren't the quarterback within the pocket that long. Most of his passes were trying to be pretty quick, or he was getting rid of the ball. But
and we lost turnover battle.
And we lost the turnover battle.
Why are we talking so many negatives on a 68-0 game?
Because we killed them 68-0, but it's because Akron was really bad. And there were still things I wanted to see against a bad team that I didn't see. And Akron was really bad. I would like you'd hope to get at least, I don't know, how many sacks do we have? 1? Yes, we had about 2 sacks. 2 sacks, and we had a shutout 68-0.
I'm a little bit torn on that because it's like, I don't know. Can you have it all? Like, can you have all of it be perfect? As far as how the game went, it's again the biggest win we've had against anybody. And
I agree, but what my concern is going into the game, what I wanted to see was our defensive line perform better against a bad opponent, which they did.
They did, but
you still saw a lot of the same issues against Cincinnati. Like it was like the holes were there. We just were fast enough that our secondary could close in on their guys because they were slow.
Now, I will say this: when we're going to see it with our defensive line, and as we get more teams, we thought with the way that we were hearing John Butler and how he was going to do things about being a little more aggressive, flying around. We've seen now the size, not just of our backups, of our starters, maybe not being as big. We don't have a national tie. Like we kind of said, it might be some boom or bust. Now we haven't seen the boom yet. And I also don't know you want to show a whole lot of boom on how you're going to deliver the blitz packages, the schematic stuff. You don't want to show that against Akron either. So part of the counter to that is, yeah, our defensive line we might just have to struggle, and they might give up an occasional 9-yard run. But if we can counter that with a 5-yard sack or a 6-yard sack on a 3rd and 5, it's okay.
Yeah.
I don't know that we necessarily wanted to show how we were going to do that against this week or next week. We didn't see it against Cincinnati. You hope that that's coming. That's what you can hope. Now, maybe it's not, and that could be very concerning moving forward. But that's the positive spin on the defensive line in a game like this. That, you know what? Yeah, maybe they just are going to struggle still a little bit from a size and physicality standpoint. In the 3-3-5, that's not always a good thing. But if we can make up for it and get the boom side out of it, then it'll be all right.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I agree. They said yes. You're right. I'm probably being too critical for this, but
look at roles just getting flipped here on the podcast.
Yeah, you're right. Look at little Mr. Optimism over there. Let's see what my only other note we haven't talked about was we did have 6 penalties, which didn't hurt us this game. And obviously we had a lot of backups in, so I'm not going to be too critical of it. But I was like, okay. Once we got our 5th and 6th one, I was like, it was noticeable. It's like another false start that brought back a big play. Again, backups, so I wasn't too shaken by it, but
I mean, we used to do grades on this podcast a couple of years ago. A lot of the grades that you see from some of the major news writers, you're seeing a lot of A's right now. And we have not had that in a long time, even in wins. Obviously, you're not going to get a 10 out of 10 perfect score on every part of the game. But again, you saw what you wanted to see against Akron. And Houston Christian this week, you're going to see probably a lot of the same thing. They lost their game this week to Southern Illinois or someone like that. I don't know. 20-10. They played a better team. Another good opportunity, I think, to see a game like that on Saturday. At the same time, naturally, and obviously you don't want to overlook anybody, but you can a little bit. The Michigan game is the next big game, and I think that was also on the post game calls. Like another big topic of conversation was Michigan. It is. It's now you're a little bit in preseason mode, and your first game against now Michigan, and Michigan got beat by Oklahoma. I was really hoping, going into the day that because Dak was going to watch all that game and give us maybe some insight on what Michigan had, what they looked like. But Dak's going to have no better take on it than we do because he didn't. I know he's going to say Bryce Underwood sucks. Well, yeah, look at the stats. I don't know because I didn't watch the game. I don't have a clue on how that game went besides the final score. But I think there's holes. Like there's holes to exploit against the Wolverines. My head's kind of shifting towards that. I jokingly last week said we're 3-0. We are 3-0, and we're probably going to have potential to be favored in that game in week 4.
I saw updated ESPN projections. It's our largest percentage was 9 wins, so still not quite 10, but
I mean, you're walking out of this game feeling a lot better about that Michigan game, or walking out of this week than you were coming out of the Cincinnati game. You thought, oh boy, they're just going to run it all over us. Well, like you said, I was going to say, Bryce Underwood is not a good quarterback. I mean, we figured that out pretty quick.
I'm not going to say he's not good.
I got very after one game.
He's pretty bad. He can't throw the ball.
The fact that he did it against Oklahoma on a team that you couldn't name one player on their defense, I don't know. The Big Ten quarterbacks either. You're not going to see.
And maybe they won't even need to use him against Nebraska. Like, who knows? They might just run it all over him.
Yeah, you just don't. You don't know what it's still gonna be Big Ten football. Like I
Yeah.
don't anticipate either team blowing either team out. Like in that game, it's gonna be a
The
grinder out
Michigan
game.
Michigan had 146 yards on the ground against Oklahoma. I suspect it'll be higher than that against Nebraska.
Yeah, I mean, I can't read into that. I did not watch it. I don't know. I hope you do. You feel better. Just generally speaking, you feel better about that game after this week. But you know what? Part of me, I don't want to feel better. I want the guys to be like
I don't. Yeah, I say I don't feel better. I feel worse. Like I feel worse because now they've gotten their. They got
they've got
rocked
their
now.
butts kicked. Yep.
Right now they're on alert. It's like okay.
Now they're on improve mode, and now we feel great about where we're at. Like I
They got
said, that Cincinnati game last week was about the best way to win. It really
Yep.
was because it highlighted you still won, but it highlighted everywhere where we need to get better at. A game like this, like what do you take? Like we broke down every negative thing you possibly could find in this podcast, and there's not that much. Like it's hard to find stuff from these games. So that's the balance of playing Akron versus Cincinnati in in a non-conference game. Um, Same thing with Michigan. Like you said, Austin, they learned probably a lot of where their weaknesses are at. So they're going to have time to also wrap that up. Now, here's the interesting thing that I saw, and I didn't know this either. Sherrone Moore, head coach, Michigan's is suspended
Mhm.
for these next two games. They play a nobody, I think New Mexico State or someone like that next week. I did not know that he can't even like be in the facilities, have contact with the team. It's not like he's suspended
Hmm.
from just the game part. Like he can't really coach. And that's the other wrinkle to throw into all this. Now we could probably spin it and make it a really, really good thing. But it is when you're coming off a loss like that, the first thing you want to do as a head coach is find the solution and figure out how to do that. Well, he's not going to be able to do that in the traditional way that you think. It's going to be his assistant coaches taking over that responsibility and then having to coach two games doing that without their head guy. So it's a little bit like it'll be interesting to see how that goes. I don't know. I don't know how that goes.
Yeah. My opinion on head football coaches is yeah, it'll be fine.
And it might not even be like how our games go when he comes back, depending on how things go. Like both ways, right? You win, you beat Nebraska on the road. Now you look like, oh shit, we don't need him. Like our assistant coaches did their job. You do come back and you lose, then you come back in and you go, oh crap, like we got a lot of work to do. I didn't do a good job of building it to this point. So it's not really a good situation for Sherrone Moore that he's hopping into now, but that's not our problem to figure out. That's their problem.
Yeah, I did not know that part. That makes your game planning a little tougher if your head coach can't even come in and say what he wants to fix.
Yeah.
So, and he's back from the Nebraska game, right?
No,
No.
He's not.
that's what
No.
I just said.
Well, news to me. All right. So, yeah, I don't know what you take away from that. I don't. Obviously he's gonna have some say. Like he's gonna talk to his
Yeah.
assistants and have them do some stuff.
Well,
But
right, but he's not. Yeah, the role is very different, right? You're gonna probably find the workaround that you can, but it's going to be very different in how they have to approach it. So, all right. Anything else before we volleyball? Great job. Took care of
Good
business
job.
again. Twice.
Um, yeah. Not a lot. Yeah. It was fun. It was fun until it felt mean.
How about
Hopefully,
Dana ripping a Zen?
yep, that's my boy.
That made it around social media quite a bit.
hopefully we'll have the same result next week.
Yeah. Again, I'm not. There's not pretty predictable on what could happen in that game. I think we can make our checklist again on Thursday on what we want to see coming out of that game. Maybe get an interview or something on as well. So good week. We'll take it. Great blowout win. Impressive. We'll move on. 3-0.
Now everybody's waiting for who you got tonight, Vikings or Bears?
Don't care.
All right. All right.
I'm taking the Bears.
I'll take Vikings, I guess, if I
Did
have
you
to
see?
pick.
Hey, did you see the Lions offense last night?
Awful.
Ben Johnson.
See,
Is
that's
he
the
the
problem.
reason?
That's the problem. I'm very nervous about tonight.
Well, the Bears just come out and just light up the Vikings D.
We'll talk about that Thursday.
All right, go Big Red.
GBR.
Go Big Red. Skull.